R. Kelly reportedly experienced a drug overdose after a mistake by prison staff related to his medication. As shocking as it may seem, the circumstances of the incident raise major questions and concerns.
This news is actually breaking right now. Shout out to Brawl Alert, who was the first outlet that we saw actually posted it. But last night, R. Kelly's team filed an emergency filing. I received the filing a little bit after midnight, so I believe that's why it's breaking right now, is because outlets are waking up. So in the emergency filing, they allege that R. Kelly was giving an additional dose of medication by prison staff, and they're alleging that because of that additional medication that he was instructed to take and that he actually took, he suffered a overdose.
I know what you might be thinking. Did R. Kelly try to end his life to escape prison? Honestly, that was my first thought too. Like many, I'm cautious when it comes to claims of accidental failures inside institutions like these. But here's the thing. Medication in prison is tightly controlled. Inmates don't handle their own prescriptions, officers distribute the meds themselves, and closely watch as they're taken. They also regulate the exact dosage. That means R. Kelly wouldn't have had the opportunity to alter his meds or deliberately overdose. It just doesn't make sense. Now, here's where it gets even more troubling. Reports say that just 3 days after R. Kelly was granted access to over 13,000 pages of case records, he discovered that officials from the Bureau of Prisons were allegedly conspiring against him. These documents reportedly revealed that some officers had illegally accessed his confidential information and leaked it to the media while he was behind bars. If verified, this would be a serious breach and potentially a criminal act. Even more alarming, just 3 days after reviewing those documents, R. Kelly allegedly learned of a plot to have him killed, one that involved other inmates being recruited to carry it out. Then, just 2 days after he shared these threats with the press, he suffered what's being described as an accidental overdose. According to reports, a BOP officer gave him a dosage that was dangerously high. At some point, we need to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Something about this entire situation feels deeply unsettling. And sadly, it doesn't stop there. After the overdose, R. Kelly was rushed to a hospital where doctors reportedly discovered a condition that could have turned deadly. But in a shocking twist, prison staff allegedly refused to authorize treatment. One officer reportedly even said, "Let him die." If that account is true, it points to a mindset that's not just careless, but outright inhumane.
So they say that R. Kelly woke up allegedly on June 13th and he felt faint. He was dizzy. He started to see black spots. He got up and he fell. He crawled to the door of the cell and he lost consciousness then. At that point, he was placed on a gurney. He was taken by ambulance to a nearby hospital because they tried to take him to the hospital inside of or associated with the facility that he's in, but they couldn't help him, so they took him to an outside hospital. In that outside hospital, on the way to that outside hospital, his team alleges that it was overheard someone in the ambulance from the hospital say, this is going to open a whole new can of worms. R. Kelly's legal team then alleges that once he got to the hospital, it was then revealed that he had been giving an overdose quantity of medicine. He was in the hospital for some days, and this was within 2 days of that original filing where his legal team is alleging that prison officials are trying to take him out of here. Now, they say in addition to this incident, this overdose, right, they're also pointing to the fact that R. Kelly allegedly has been asking for months to get some medical attention to a swollen leg. R. Kelly's legal team says that once he was taken to the hospital for this overdose situation, R. Kelly brought up the swollen leg, and they allege that doctors there then took a look at the swollen leg and they found blood clots in R. Kelly's right leg, allegedly, in his left leg, in his lungs, allegedly. And R. Kelly's legal team is saying that R. Kelly was then told he should stay 7 days in that hospital for surgery, and then it would be an additional 2 weeks because of whatever care they were going to need to give him. But his legal team alleges that once the prison was contacted, R. Kelly was then removed against his will by guards from the prison and was not allowed to be treated. And they are saying that basically this could kill him because of the blood clots and the care that they are alleging he is not receiving.
I get it. This is a complicated and uncomfortable topic. R. Kelly is viewed by many as a deeply controversial figure. He's been accused of serious crimes that no decent person would ever try to defend. So when you hear suggestions that someone might be trying to hasten his death, whether through negligence or deliberate action, it might not seem troubling. After all, he's been charged with harming some of society's most vulnerable. And I understand that reaction. I'm not here to judge anyone for feeling that way. To some extent, I probably feel the same. But even so, we can't simply ignore the signs that something unethical might be happening behind closed doors. It's almost unheard of for prison authorities to tell medical professionals, "This man could die, he has blood clots, but release him anyway, we're not authorizing treatment." That's disturbing, especially when you consider this happened after an apparent overdose and following claims that someone tried to arrange his murder using 2 inmates. At some point, we have to ask, is there something in those 13,000 pages of records that R. Kelly received? Files naming prison officials that someone doesn't want exposed? We can't overlook the fact that the Washington Journal reportedly got access to R. Kelly's commissary information. Tasha K even released his personal emails, call logs, and visitor records. That leak revealed to his girlfriend that he was seeing someone else even while incarcerated, and as a result, she later testified against him. All of that happened because his private records were leaked. So yes, something clearly doesn't sit right here. There's a strong chance that real misconduct took place. Serious violations involving, allegedly, more than 60 correctional officers. If true, this would rank among the largest prison corruption cases we've ever seen. Over 60 officials are said to have been involved in accessing and distributing R. Kelly's confidential information to media outlets. And now, as he gains access to the very documents that could expose them, as soon as R. Kelly gained access to documents exposing a network of potential misconduct, we suddenly began hearing about new threats to his safety. Now it's, he has blood clots, let him go, let him die. We're all familiar with the serious charges against him and the deeply disturbing nature of his past. But even so, one has to ask, doesn't every individual still have the right to due process? Doesn't the justice system apply to everyone regardless of who they are? I'll be honest, I'm conflicted. If you told me this story was about someone else, a random man named John Doe facing the same charges, I know how I'd react. I'd probably say let him ride. If he overdosed, good, do it again. That would be my first instinct. So I'm aware of the contradiction in my own thinking. Maybe it's because it's hard to separate the emotional connection people had to R. Kelly's music from the reality of who he turned out to be. Even though I still believe he's deeply flawed and don't feel much sympathy for him, I can't say with certainty that he deserves to die under shady or unlawful circumstances. It's something I'm still wrestling with. I have no compassion for someone who harms society's most vulnerable, but this whole situation isn't as simple as it may seem. It's complicated.
Now, they do say that all of this can be proven. They say that the things with him getting to solitary confinement and taking that additional medicine allegedly will be on prison cameras. They say on prison cameras you will see R. Kelly arrive to solitary confinement. When you arrive there, because he takes medicines already for anxiety and sleep and other things, you have to show your medicine to guards, which they say is on camera. And then they say you will see the additional medicine being brought to R. Kelly on camera as well. And that the stuff at the hospital with the clots and not being treated, all of those accusations, they say can also be proven via hospital records. So they filed this emergency motion trying to bring light to this to the same court that they are saying, hey, all this other stuff is happening. We're telling you he needs to be released because it is not
But
safe
why?
for him.
Why does R. Kelly and his team feel like the feds are trying to kill him? Because he's not coming out until what, December 21st, 2045. He received 30 years in federal prison. So why does he think they're killing him? What does R. Kelly know that makes the feds want to kill him?
So according to R. Kelly's legal team in the first filing, and they reiterated it in this one, that whole plot to uncover the fact that there were things that were done wrong when it came to, remember I talked about like the flipping of the witnesses and all these things that they're alleging happened. Basically, they're saying the government and the prison officials have been covering up the fact that they did whatever they needed to do to convict R. Kelly allegedly. And his new legal team, in trying to file for other things, discovered that and brought it in a plan to bring it to light, and they found out. So this is all a way to cover that up. That is what R. Kelly's team is alleging.
Is it just me, or wasn't there a videotape of R. Kelly having with an underage girl? Did we not all
they're not arguing that did not happen, right? What they're arguing.
When it comes to the legal side, R. Kelly was previously charged with a similar offense but was acquitted, despite widespread belief that he was indeed guilty. Most people agree they know who was involved. So if R. Kelly were to die while in custody, I doubt the public would react with much sympathy. He harmed children, and few would come to his defense. No one is likely to support him. However, that doesn't mean we should turn a blind eye to what looks like serious misconduct by prison officials or government agents. This issue goes far beyond R. Kelly himself. We should separate his personal crimes from the larger problem at hand. The fact that correctional officers allegedly accessed and stole inmates' private information, sold it, and then used that data to pressure a witness into testifying, that's a major concern. What's even more troubling is that the identities of the officers involved were kept hidden for 4 long years. It wasn't until after a lengthy legal battle that R. Kelly finally gained access to documents revealing who those officers were, how they got hold of his private information, and exactly what they did with it. But these records total over 13,000 pages. Now either he or his legal team has to carefully review all of it, and before they could even start making significant progress, it seems there may be an effort underway to harm him. If that's true, federal authorities should absolutely be held accountable. Yet, because this case involves R. Kelly, many people simply don't care what happens to him. What they really want is for the federal system to be brought to justice. Ideally, we'd be able to separate these matters, R. Kelly's personal actions on one side and possible government wrongdoing on the other. But right now, they're intertwined. So if the goal is to expose and challenge federal misconduct, supporting R. Kelly's lawsuit might be the only path forward. There's no easy way around it. If you want accountability from the authorities, you're basically tied to R. Kelly's case as the vehicle for that cause. Maybe in the end, R. Kelly wins his case, exposes corruption, and then is harmed by another inmate later on. Some might see that as a compromise. I don't know. But I'm interested in hearing what you think. Do you believe R. Kelly still deserves fair treatment under the law? Or do you think that once someone is convicted of serious crimes like his, justice no longer applies? Share your thoughts in the comments below.